Hi there, Dr. Gary here on the road. We sell dental practices nationwide. We are dental practice brokers. I was a dentist for 25 years and now doing the dental practice brokerage for 14 years. Let's see, today's topic is seller and buyer of a dental office attempt to put the deal together themselves, and the seller loses out on at least $12,000. Big mistake. We'll get into what happened. Anyway, this happened less than 24 hours ago. I think it happened today, maybe this morning. Crazy. So, as you know, we have 10 employees. We're in 24 states. We work every day except Christmas and Easter. Our phone number is 201-663-0935. Our website is nationwidedentalpracticebrokers.com or dentalpracticeguide.com, either one. But you can reach us at 201-663-0935. We work all the time. Every day except Christmas and Easter, 363 days a year. Just call us from 8 a.m. East Coast time till 9 p.m. We are always available, even if you just want to chat and get an idea how much values are, talk about DSOs, whatever. Okay? Now, everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes. It's not legal or business advice. But do call us and we can help you. Okay? So anyway, also, if you're thinking about selling to one of the DSOs, dental services, corporate dentistry, call us first because we know everything about them. We know what's going on, what's happening with them, who's having trouble with financing, a little bit of everything, who's losing employees, who will be merging with somebody else soon. We know far more than you'll ever know because it's not published. So please call us. Often they will pay our commission, so there's no commission to you generally on most of the DSO deals, no commission. Now, if you work with us and my team, any practice that we sell for $1 million in all, the seller's legal fees will be reimbursed upon successful closing. I think we're the only brokers in the country that do that. So give us a call and we'll be happy to chat with you about that. All right, so what happened? Buyer and seller basically trying to put their own deal together. Now, the seller was still under contract, and he acknowledged that under broker's contract. But he and the buyer had gone to him directly. We had made the introduction to the buyer, but then she called up, or he called up on their own, and they sort of began talking about numbers. And generally, we don't like buyer and seller negotiating like that, but, you know, in this circumstance, it happened. So, next thing I know, I get the call in the morning. It's just a few hours ago. This is how fast these things are breaking sometimes. Doc Gary, I just closed the deal. I got the letter of intent. I agreed. We're done. I said, listen, it's great that we got a deal together. We've been trying to sell this for a long time. It was a lower grossing practice, so it's hard. But I'm glad we got it together. I'm glad you're happy. I said, however, I wish you got me involved. Mind you, they're still under broker's contract, so I still get paid, but I want to help out. I said, well, what did you do with the number? I said, they gave me a good number, went back and forth, and we just settled on a number. I said, yeah, but if she gave you a number with the letter of intent, that doesn't mean you should just accept the first number. We can always have a little negotiation going on. How much? At least 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. Somewhere around there, we get a little bit of negotiation going. But the doctor said, no, we got this covered. Everything's great. Don't worry about it. And I'm thinking, this guy just gave up about $11,000 because I could have negotiated a higher number for him. And he would have been doing great. No, we got this figured out. This kept repeating the same thing. We had it figured out. We got it covered. I said, okay, just hold on. What bank is she using? He says, I don't know. They're big. Don't worry about it. I said, well, sometimes the bigger the bank, the worse, because there's a couple of big banks in the United States that don't know what the frig they're doing, and they can't go to closing properly. So, no, bigger is not better in our field. Getting approved with flexibility and going to closing is the best thing. So, I then find out the bank is not one bank that I enjoy working with. I just don't enjoy working with them. They're not one of the best banks, and they may have a little lower rate, but it's a headache working with them. It's a headache. It's as simple as that. It's not the best bank to work with. And they may give a low teaser rate. Oh, that's great, isn't it? But then everything else has to align to get that teaser rate below everybody else's. And most practices have something going on, or the buyer has something going on, or the seller has something going on. So those practices don't qualify for that perfect teaser rate. So I try to explain that. I said, we've got to put in the contract that the buyer has to have at least two banks. At least two banks, to be fair, to make sure we can get this thing together. I said, and secondly, you've got to have the right attorney. He says, no, I got it covered. My buddy down the block's got to be my attorney. I said, no. You only got 4 qualified dental brokers, dental attorneys in the state. You got to choose one of them. Please don't use your brother, your cousin Vinny, whoever it is down the beach or down the block. That's not going to work. You've got to use a dental attorney. So he started listening to me, which is good. What I try to do is set up foundation. Foundation is the right bank for the buyer, the right bank for this buyer, right bank for the buyer, right attorney for the buyer, the right attorney for the seller, etc. Set the foundation up with those three key parameters: buyer's attorney, seller's bank. At least you got that as a base, or the buyer's bank, that is. At least you got that as a base to get started. There's only in some states, there's only a few firms that will do the deal. Okay? Now, what could the doctor have done? Well, he could have set up a better foundation first with bankers and attorneys. Secondly, could have negotiated 1%, 2%, 3% more money. It would have been so much better. You're talking about 10 grand. Didn't do it because they got it all figured out. They know exactly what they're doing. They're successful dentists and successful in dentistry. They assume they could be successful at everything. Not so. Okay? Not so. So anyway, we had a nice chat. Went back and forth. I set the buyer up with a dental attorney. I set the seller up with a dental attorney. I set the buyer up with a second bank, even though they've been approved by the first. But some of these banks can pull the rug out on you 10 days before closing, as would happen 2 years ago on a big deal. Oh, I'll never forget that. I had to hustle to get personal financing for the doctor, for the buyer, from the seller. Whew. It worked out okay, but you got to be careful out there. So anyway, that is your answer. Don't think you got everything figured out. I'm doing this for 14 years, over 186 successful transactions, not including all the appraisals and everything else we did. So it just takes a period of time. You've got to do things right and do things once, but you need the right team members. You don't have the right team members, you're running into trouble. Okay? That's what happened here. And I was anticipating trouble, so then I dove in, and hopefully the buyer's going to listen to me, seller's going to listen to me, get the right attorneys, get the right dental bank, and then, now we're going to keep advertising this practice until the very end, right until the end, until after closing. And then we'll go from there. But listen, you've got to have the right team, and you got to get your broker involved if there's a contract. Keep them involved if there's a deal. You're not supposed to circumvent the broker. That's foolish. Okay? So give me a ring and we'll talk about this. All right, team. Thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button and away we go. You'll get messages. Thank you.